All right, guys, welcome to meeting of the Architectural Review Board. It is Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. I'm going to say the names of our members here in attendance tonight. We've got, we've got David Riley, we've got David Humphrey, Vice Chair, Rebecca Morrison, Alex Lopatinsky, Sherry Green as note taker, and myself, Elizabeth Geiger, as chairman. Absent tonight, we have Anya Janis, Sean Brown, and Leslie McCauley. Starting off, we're going to do ARB number 14, 2022. This is Federal Realty, the Darien Commons at Heights Road, and we're going to go over your proposed outdoor facade and materials, street lighting, and all that good stuff. So, guys, introduce yourself for the record. You are on TV and on recording, and please use the podium.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Ford with Federal Realty Investment Trust. I brought copies of the application that has the FF&E.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Sarah Ford, have you been here in person before?
First time in person.
Yeah, okay, awesome. All right.
That looks so different in 3 dimension.
I know, without masks.
Without masks.
Breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julie, we haven't seen you without a mask yet. I know. That's really good. It's great.
Okay, so what this, we've got a couple different proposals in front of the ARB tonight. This first one is focused on movable planter containers and exterior furniture that Federal Realty will be providing in the public spaces. Obviously, certain tenants are coming through and presenting their tenant-specific furniture for their outdoor dining zones. In certain plaza areas, we also are proposing furniture to help activate the plaza areas and spaces. So that's
Sarah, to recap too, and I think when we left this last meeting, like from the ARB side, we wanted to see like some uniformity on what your plan was, like what the kind of the materials were in your sidewalk spaces, right? The lighting schemes, which we've talked about, if there is some sort of, you're presenting a consistent lighting scheme for different, you're giving your tenants one option, two options, what that looks like, and where those might go, proposed areas. And then the other thing, okay, so the materials of areas.
So what I have tonight is the planters, the movable containers with plants, and the furniture. Following up, the next thing we have is a plan that shows where we have the lighting.
Okay, as part of this.
Yeah, I think it's technically listed as number 2 on tonight's agenda.
Yeah.
I thought number 2 is tartine.
I thought that was like 3.
Okay. All right.
String lights are underneath this heading.
All right.
So I don't have anything specific in terms of the sidewalk. We can certainly fold that into something in the future.
As part of it, we wanted to know what kind of materials you're using where on the overall schematic, right? Because all these guys are presenting different. Sorry, I can't talk. It's been a shift in the day. All these guys are presenting their own outdoor agendas, right? And
yep.
I know Federal Realty has your own mandate on what materials you're using in different places throughout the site.
Yep.
And we want to know where those are so we can consider those when we're seeing the different proposals.
Okay.
Like for Tartiner, they're proposing, this, what they are,
Sure.
So I want to know what materials you guys have going in on the sidewalk and around the spaces.
Okay. So I can certainly provide that. I don't have it tonight.
Okay. All right. So we can do that another meeting if you guys don't have stuff prepared for that year. But at some point, it would be nice to see that.
Okay.
So I would just also add, what's been really successful is when you show it in a 3-dimensional context, right? So when the paving is color rendered, actual materials, and certainly when you start to add the FF&E to it, that's going to paint the picture, and so we'll be able to understand it in the full context rather than looking at it in these little pieces.
Yep.
So
okay.
I think that sells the idea of boom right there.
Okay.
Tiny eyes.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
So we'll come back. Whether we email it to you or we can certainly come back and formally share the sidewalk materials.
Okay. So furniture and fixtures.
Yeah, so on this first page, what you see is the trash can and recycling can that we have proposed throughout the project, as well as a number of containers. You'll see containers on this first page and more being proposed on the second and the third. I believe in total we have 11 different planters that we're proposing around the site that range in size. There's as small as 19 inches tall by 19 inches wide, and they get as large as 43 inches high by 17 and a half inches wide. The idea being that they're varying sizes and shapes. Some are tall and thin, some are shorter and wider, typically grouping them together to help break down the scale to provide some diversity as you go through the site. I think there was a question about how we're watering them. The intent is to hand water them. We do this at all of our projects, Bethesda up through Boston. So that is the intent. They will be planted mostly with woody plants or shrubs and perennials, and any of the seasonal color will be rotated out on at least a semi-annual basis.
I had a comment about so I really like the room and board rockers. Those are great. But there's some furniture items that you're proposing that are a little out there.
Okay.
And I'm not seeing how they're all coming together.
Okay.
To work with each other. So if you can, again, going back to that 3D rendered image,
Sure.
illustrate how it all's supposed to come together.
Okay.
I think it would help. For example, the Bondum blow chair. It's cool, but it really,
I'm sorry, which one are you looking at? Oh, the last page?
Yeah. Like, what does that go with?
Yeah, so I
And
will.
they're kind of like by themselves in this large area. So scale-wise, they feel
Small.
like somebody forgot about them. So again, I think when we see it in illustrated with all the other contextual pieces, it really helps me
Okay.
react better.
So I will say, for the most part, we try to select neutral materials. The planters you can see are all aqua, teal, earthy tones. And then a lot of the furniture is an ipe or a teak that will weather towards gray. And intentionally did put in the occasional pop of color. I believe it's called the myelin side table. Those only exist in 3 locations. Outside 1, 2, 3. So that's the extent of it. The idea being it introduces some color and interest. And then we have a series of bistro chairs. You can see them in this image. That's shown a little bit more chartreuse. It's actually more of a willow sage green. So it is a more muted green. This, I think, reads brighter.
Very bright, yeah.
Yeah, than it will actually be. But so that's where those bistro chairs will go around here, and then as well as we've got a tree down here just south of the Gregory's Coffee Building. And again, we're proposing 6 of those room and board rockers around a coffee table here.
Rebecca Morrison, ARB. I just had a question with the fact that a lot of this stuff looks very summery in nature, and when you say that they're removable, I just want to know, are those the same planters that are going to be there throughout the season? And if so, I also am a little bit worried about the material and whether, they're sustainable if someone, wind, snow, someone tips it over, especially if they're terracotta.
Yep, so the intent is that they are all year. We use the same landscape architect and the same array of planters at a number of our projects, including those north of Boston that see quite a bit of weather as well. So it's not to say we've never had a pot break, but it's certainly the exception.
I want to read a comment on that that's not mine, some ARB members sent that aren't here. That's okay, so.
Sure.
A larger one is that the selection of materials, though they're beautiful selection, they don't really fit in with the idea of a coastal community, a coastal community aesthetic of Darien. They're also not the scale of this complex. They're rather small compared to the scale of what we're dealing with here, as far as height and just overall mass of the complex. Getting further into that, the aged zinc patina look of the planters, they think that it's a great to offset the finishes, and they appreciate the colors scheme you've done here to a very kind of simple beige palette in a lot of ways, beige and black. But the yellow is concerning, has like a mustard ketchup vibe. The Fernald Bistro chairs are pretty standard and no complaints there, but is there another shade of yellow to consider for those?
Yeah, so if I can get you a better image of the actual color being proposed, because this, to me, doesn't read accurate.
And the last one is the concern of it being year-round. So, I mean, I think this is the third now round of people concerned about the lasting effects of these guys year-round. They don't, the sizing of them, the scale of them, and to your point, seeing them all in a context altogether.
So
I personally am, from a scale standpoint, it seems like if you're trying to create little, seating groups or something, you're bringing down the scale. I think part of the intent is not to try to match the scale, but to create a scale. So I kind of would take exception to that comment. Just, I have a different opinion on that, so. That's
Do you want to speak to, the coastal, the comments about it being a,
I think this
not
is,
I think this is fine, just having a little variety in the backdrop of the colonial federalist look of the architecture is okay, and none of this is, this is nice.
I don't think it's glaringly not appropriate or anything. I see it as, once they're in place, creating these moments where people can sit. Again, if that's part of a maintenance program and that's all dialed in as part of the overall scheme.
Where it notes just cluster of containers, is that meant to indicate that, each of these kind of similar in design cluster of planters that are in one of these photos, does that represent a cluster, or is there kind of mixing of stuff?
it's more of a mix and match, where we would not pair, like in this image right up here, you see 3 of the blue. We would not put 3 of the blue, all of the same planter next to each other. We typically mix and match to give it a little bit of depth.
Since it sounds like it's something that you've done before, is there any way to get a photo of, way ahead of me, because that might help to kind of visualize, and then potentially in CAD, not that you could necessarily, recreate these exact planters, but if you gave kind of a sample representation of what these chairs are with the intended size of the planters next to them, because I agree with Dave that it might actually benefit to be on the smaller side next to chairs to create an area of seating, versus if we're just thinking about this on a full scale of the development, you might want larger planters, but again, potentially something to represent, here's a typical arrangement of chairs and
It goes down like lush.
Yeah, so I mean, these are really just sharing to show how we cluster them, and to show the varying sizes that we do use as a technique to break down the scale of the building and just make it more friendly to the pedestrian as you get into these furniture clusters in little outdoor rooms.
I do have a question about the number of trash and recycle cans.
Yep.
I feel like you may want some more, unless you're counting on your tenants providing them, but they're not a lot.
That was exactly very similar.
We do have 9.
I guess
I'm just looking
following
at-
up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Following up on that, it says trash and recycling, and the image, it's just hard to visualize. Like, are there 2 containers within that
Correct.
one piece? Okay.
It is.
And again, it's sort of a neutral, it's a nice sort of modern, sort of interpretation of a trash can. But is it very obvious what goes where? I mean, based on your experience in the other developments,
So-
it's always hard to predict.
Yeah, so this is the same trash can we use at our Pike and Rose development in Rockville that's been successful. Sometimes you can end up with a terrible trash can. I know it sounds silly, but the last thing you want are rodents going to your trash can. So this, for me, I was not comfortable using a trash can that we have not had success with elsewhere before. So this has been a popular and successful trash can for us in the past.
I tried.
Can I also, not to interrupt, but I think
Julie,
just
can you get
for
up
your-
and stand up
Oh,
and
sorry.
present your
Yeah.
name, present yourself to the ARB, please?
Julie Brock with Development Management Associates. I'm a consultant to Federal Realty. I think in regards to the 9 on the property as well too, it's kind of an operations moving in real time situation that if more need to be added, it will, or if they need to be emptied more often. I didn't mean to kind of jump on you, but I think it's more of just a management operations thing. So I feel like the 9 is sufficient
Yeah.
for the property at large.
And that was one of my initial questions as well. Are these the type of trash cans that need to get bolted down? And they're not, which gives us the flexibility if we find this one trash can over there is drastically underutilized, but we're finding this one's always full. It gives us the opportunity to relocate, move them around, to try to find, the right locations
Yeah.
to serve the project.
Who's the company you hired to plant this stuff and keep them watered?
So Clinton Reese is our landscape architect. And they would help us specify the plants. We have our landscaper on site who's doing the project is a growing concern. So that would be a likely candidate to plant the plants in the containers themselves.
When we, as a follow-up here, I mean, obviously, it sounds like what we've said here is about seeing these things in coordination together, these different elements, like picturing them together. Ms. Lobatinsky mentioned that, as did Vice Chair Humphrey. One of the other things I'd like to request is when you put those back together is showing us 2 seasons here. What these would put, how these, I see the summer. Summer's gonna look fantastic. I'm curious what they're gonna put together for the winter.
Okay. It's funny because there was a present image for the fall, it's just
Yeah.
not as vibrant.
Yeah, I know, that's why I wanted
I
to,
know,
because
yeah.
that's when it's gonna be the toughest, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
I have one other, just a question, clarification on L4.02. The semicircular area at the north side, you have the curved bench, the circular bench in the center, like where the parking and cars and stuff go by. But is that a wall, like that gray, like that thick gray film? Is that a low wall for sitting, or I'm having just a little trouble based on the plan interpreting?
I believe that's just a curb.
That's just a curb. It seems like that's an opportunity to put something like that curved bench, given the kind of the geometry and the shapes that are being depicted. Again, not knowing contextually what space is going to occupy that unit, but
Oh, I'm sorry, are you talking about up here?
yes.
Okay. Yes, this is a low planter wall that you
Oh, it is?
could,
Oh,
that you
okay.
could sit on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant,
Sorry, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't describe it very well. Okay, so that is like a sitting room.
correct.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
cool. Does that have any lighting or anything, like, step lights or like linear or anything like that?
I don't
In
think
it?
it does.
Okay,
We will have lights in the planter bed itself.
okay. All right, yeah, I think I see a light symbol, like a light post. Okay, all right, that was my question, it's just clarification. Thank you.
Okay, Sarah, some marching orders you have about, sending us some new drawings, right? And you can send those in the meantime in lieu of our next meeting, and we'll go over them.
Okay.
If there's anything that you need to come back for, or you
Okay.
can send Julie to present that.
Okay.
So, everything in context together, different seasons, Okay, I think that was it. In location, and then the second part of that, which is what we mentioned at the beginning, is seeing how that works with the material of your sidewalk spaces and any other materials, features you have there, benches, curbs. I want to know what those materials are.
Okay.
I know you've got some pavers, you've got some cement, you've got some town sidewalk. I want to see how it comes together.
Okay.
So if you just, I don't know. What are the drawings you usually see for that?
Well, sometimes it's an illustrative landscape plan
Okay.
with all the items, but, or update your renderings.
Yeah, I think
with
that it
with the
it'll
actual.
probably be a combination of both, just because of the geometry of the site, it's hard to render it all together, so
yeah, sure.
it might be a couple of renderings updated, but otherwise, I think, to your point, an illustrative site plan may be the best way to.
Well, that'll help sort of show the colors of the different
Yeah.
pavers and color of the furniture, but I think it's both and.
I'd like to make that one of the staples too of your presentation, so every time you guys present, when you bring like, tartines today, tartineries, sorry, I keep saying that, tartineries today, you had a couple guys last week, pizza mullet, always have that as one of your pages, like, so we can refer to that and say, okay, now we're seeing this all in context, right?
Okay.
Like, I know you give it,
Okay.
just make it part of the standard presentation that we can always see that.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah?
Okay.
The more
Gotta
opportunity
just
for a
figure out how to
bench,
sort of present that.
for that potentially curved bench is when this Historic Park area, where you have the two, just the two plain low chairs, and a couple other clusters of planters. Again, based on geometry of what look to be probably low walls, there might be an opportunity for a curved bench.
Another
Maybe
opportunity
a
for
couple
what?
of small curved benches.
An opportunity for what, Dave? I missed
Just
the
a
last
thought,
part.
for an additional curved bench.
Oh.
I mean, it's a nice feature, tie that space to some of the others.
Remember this one?
Where's it on the drawing, Dave?
L404.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons why we didn't propose the bench there is because those are a seat height, those planter walls.
Okay.
So it already acts as a bench.
Are you doing anything on the top of the concrete to,
I have to confirm if it's a coping or what's.
because it'd be kind of nice maybe to tie it to the benches in terms of the material, do like teak slats or something that's put on top of the curb.
I'll
Just to
confirm.
delineate that it's a little softer, it's a
Sure.
little more comfortable, right? And then it starts to tie in some of these furniture elements around the property.
Yeah, that's a good detail to find out is the top of those walls. It could make a big difference.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
good stuff. So, are you talking lighting, or?
We can,
Tag team.
yeah, do you want to tag team with that? So, per last month's meeting, I'll pass this around. I kind of just made a very simple plan in showing and highlighting where we're having outdoor lighting, with the string lights and/or tenants that are also proposing their own. I do have, so we've got the sample here of, it's the Tivoli outdoor lighting. It's frequently used throughout, I think, I've got a photograph I can show you guys. We can plug this in. They actually have clear and then also kind of glazed or frosted lamps here. There's different kelvins that they've proposed. I think in our design criteria, 3,000 Kelvin is the outdoor maximum that we can have. So there's a 3,000, a 27, and a 1900. So there's varying differences. And then there's also then the clear lamps as well too that we can look at as well as an option. I do have a photograph on my phone that the architect sent over of just an installation at I believe it was a Bridgeport exterior that I'll kind of pass around to you guys too as well. Don't know if you guys want me to plug this in or not, but,
I mean, why not? You're
yeah,
here.
why
Let's see it.
not?
I think it's good to show
Julie,
the
have you
difference.
determined whether you're doing the clear or the, that's
So-
still, or, and 3,000 Kelvin, or are you going to go less, or?
So we haven't, so that was the
Okay,
other,
okay.
I need to actually talk to Binefield and ask what their specification is on the exterior, but then I think we wanna keep it consistent.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's,
When you look on the plan, there are 2 locations where the lights have already been specified as part of the base building construction. Those 2 locations are between R1 and the top of the Walgreens. So where the monumental grand stair kind of plateaus. And then the second location is between the R3 and the R4 coffee building, that plaza area. So I would have to double check to see what was already contemplated there.
yeah,
But those aren't neutral, those aren't any tenant specific sites, those are federals.
That's-
Exactly,
that's
but
general area.
But this is
Okay.
the light
Yep.
we specified.
Okay.
I just don't know if we already have them and if it was a specific Kelvin.
There's a
But
bunch of-
we've
just
asked
like that, yeah.
tenants to use the same lights so that there's consistency in those locations.
Good.
So the other 2 highlighted, the other 2 yellow spots highlighted are the tenants that have proposed outdoor lighting, is that correct?
Correct.
Are the 4 on here?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because per our last meeting, so Tartinery, Sweet Green, they do have proposed outdoor lighting in their plan, so it was really, you guys had asked for, let's kind of map out
Yeah.
where this is, so it's not going to be so circusy, you know, in feel. That there's some sort of consistency in that feel. So I will keep a running plan of those highlighted areas. So this is one of those plans, you guys, that I'll kind of keep as well too,
Perfect. It'd be
as
nice
a map.
to have
Yeah.
this and your sidewalk, your open space sidewalk plan in every one of these, as your back
Yeah.
page, each of these documents, we
Yeah.
can always refer to when you have a new tenant coming in, if
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yeah, no worries.
All right,
Yeah, that's fine, it's easy enough to add to someone.
great, this is very
Um,
helpful.
So you guys, this is 3,000,
That's
20
your baseline spec.
that's the baseline, so that's the max. Yeah, that's the max, 2,700, and then this is 19, which looks
19
very
looks
warm.
sad.
It looks very, very warm. So I can also change the heads while you guys move on to somebody else, I'll put,
The middle's
the clear heads to it, but I like the middle,
Yeah.
also, it's,
Yeah.
it's 27. I'm also not opposed to having a mixture, call me crazy, a mixture of the frosted and clear on occasion. You will see that, and it's kind of a nice little mix, it gives it a little bit of texture.
Is that like in the same string, like?
In the
one,
same string,
like,
maybe
yeah,
have
just-
3 glazed, frosted, one clear or 2 clear, and then move on. So I have seen that as well. I'll pull up that photograph because I think that they have that in there as well too. But I feel most comfortable with the 27. I'll change the lamps to the clear. We'll kind of get a feel on that while we move on to other people.
Change 2,
Change 2?
Yeah.
You got it. So you want me to do,
the middle 2,
I'll do.
or the
I'll-
N2.
The N2?
Yeah.
Keep this one, this is our, although this is
That's the
our,
color.
The 2,700 key.
keep frosted?
Yeah.
Or change to a
I want to see
clear?
what it looks like clear.
I kind of wanna
It's
see
gonna-
what this
it's
one
gonna
is.
look different,
Yeah,
even though it's the same
700.
color, yeah, it's even though
I
it's
think
the
this
same
one's
color.
out,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So I'll do these 2 in
Okay.
the clear, as soon as I figure that out. So I'll move those.
Okay, I think that's it for you guys. I think you got Sarah some clear, Mark, you are follow up with the PDF. All right, so I think then we can move on to ARB number 7 in the meantime. Is that okay, guys? Okay. ARB number 7, Tartinery, 150 Heights Road. I think we got Ryan Welch here. Nope.
No, it'll be the 2 of us.
There you go. All right, well, you guys are kind of seeing how these meetings come together. Introduce yourself and tell us what your role is for Tartinery, please.
Hi, I'm Ridhima from Owen Lang & Architect.
I'm Clarissa from OLA Architects.
We're going to be representing Tartinery. I think from the last meeting we
You know,
were...
guys, I'm sorry, I don't have your names on our applications, actually, so can you spell your names for us for the record?
Ridhima, Ridhima.
Okay,
Do you need our last names as well? Or?
that's good for now.
Okay. Clarissa, CLARISSA.
Okay, OLA, both you guys are OLA?
Yeah, I should be on the application. I filed it in for Nicholas, so, but I can
Okay.
check it online too.
No worries.
So I think since the last meeting, we were requested to add additional 3D views for pergola, and that was like the bigger portion for it. So the last sheet has two options with white and the more natural finish. The preference for us is white because it like ties in a lot more with our concept and design. And then we also looked up some of the additional lighting options. And I think on sheet A003, elevation 2, kind of gives an idea of the pendant lights that kind of work a little bit more based on our design and concept. And the photo reference would be on A002 for the same.
I'm curious with those, well, just the structure itself, you call out 1x4 horizontal members that are 8 feet long. That's a pretty long, clear span for that size of essentially a trim board. Is there any concern with those boards warping? Are they wood boards, are they engineered, or are they Boral, or, it just, from my perspective, seeing an unsupported 1x4 would cause a little bit of concern, just in terms of it moving over time and it not looking as crisp and neat. Also, in terms of the wiring of those pendant lights, will that be, I guess, run in the, between the supports and then just kind of stapled above or something? I'm just a little concerned that those are put in nicely, discreetly. So that's a couple of observations on that.
For the lighting, I think we'll try to definitely conceal it as much as possible. We can also like bring it from the top and eventually add the lights in between. The idea is to like conceal as much of electrical as possible.
Okay.
And then
because the image, it doesn't need a box or anything, it's just a plug-in.
yeah.
So each one of those will need a plug though. I mean, there's gonna need to be electrical outlet location worked into this planting wall or something. Again, concealing, discreet, those are all concerns. Also, little hands, I'm bringing my kids there, 5-year-old's gonna be curious about it, so
That's understandable.
that's just something I would think about in terms of how this is, detailed.
Definitely. We can also check if they're able to hardwire it and then just have like a single
The
that comes
hardwired
through.
option.
Yeah, we'll double check that one as
would probably be a
well.
little better. Are these low voltage or they're line voltage, right? They're line voltage? Probably, yes.
I'll have to double check on that
I
one.
think they're line, just based on the image.
Okay.
Yeah, I would kind of second your comment about the 1x4. It does feel like it's,
Like a 5/4 even would be maybe have enough substance that it wouldn't have as much movement. I think you're still gonna get,
yeah,
yeah.
it probably won't end up being as straight as you think it's going to be. And also, the proportion of that with 2x8 kind of fascia boards that I think are meant to make it look like that's supporting the overhead trellis, essentially.
Yeah.
The portion of those 2x8s with the 1x4s above, I wonder whether you need those 2x8s. Whether the 1x4, if it becomes, a 5/4 by
There's a
4
lot
by
of them.
6,
Yeah.
whether that's enough to, give you the effect of that overhead trellis that you're looking for without kind of the weight, not physical weight, but visual weight of these 2x8s that are spanning the 6x6 post. It seems heavy,
That's a good point.
which I think is easy enough to take off and look at how that is without it.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely look at it. And once we're in construction, we'll have a vendor who'll be putting us together. The whole structural aspect would be a concern at that time also. But we can definitely look at the updates based on the size of the members.
Right. I think for us, though, we would want to all kind of be comfortable with what the design intent is before we get to the point of construction. So we'll talk about, next steps, but I think that would be a relatively easy change to be able to look at.
Steve, you're just talking about the
Sounds good.
2x8s across the parking lot, facing the parking lot, is that correct?
So
Or-
these are 2x8s that
Yeah.
are spanning the 6x6 posts, which I think are, the look is to, be supporting this overhead structure, but number one, the proportion between these double 2x8s sistering the 6x6 post, which is only supporting these 1x4 horizontal members above.
So you're saying just sort of lighten the structure in general
Yeah,
visually?
simplify
Like,
it.
is it necessary to have all of those elements to it?
Yeah, and check with your team specifically about a 8-foot span of 1x4, and whether that will hold up the way that you would want it to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even the rendering, that does, now that you point out, it seems a little heavy, this strong horizontal over the planter horizontal. If that was even eliminated, yeah, it would just lighten up the whole structure,
I don't
I
think.
actually don't mind it.
No,
No, it's like
That's
it's
fine.
like a cap on the top. I think it's an aesthetic thing.
Well, it takes away the weight of the building of the 3 stories, it kind of brings it,
Yeah.
that heaviness down, so you're not hitting such a,
Yeah, I think
right there.
Well, what if it was in line with like the top of the 1x's or centered? It just seems like the stacking of
Yeah.
those elements,
That-
maybe
that's
that's what's catching my eye. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
That's-
Yeah, maybe just a 2x6 instead of a 2x8.
Could be, yeah. But also, whether you line it up with the upper level, the upper layer.
Right.
Because that's just this one, on either side, it's just this element of these 2x8s, which are presumably supporting something above, but they're not really, because
Right.
typically on a Catrellis, wouldn't the
you're gonna have,
1x's
yeah.
go the
The
other
other way,
direction?
yep.
Right? So maybe that's something that's throwing us off a little bit. Would change in the direction of the 1x's so that they sit on those 2x's.
Yeah.
Is it a trellis or is it just slats, straight slats? I can't tell.
I think we should look.
It's a straight slats.
If you look at the page before, it'll show the overhead view. of it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean, another option would be to maybe reduce the height of that wall a couple inches, because that is a very solid element,
Got it, got it.
considering you're gonna have, some landscaping in there to screen anybody eating in that area. I assume that's the
Oh,
intent.
shoot.
Yeah, we do have the periphery planters.
I know you said your preference is the white, the natural wood. Is there if you were gonna go that direction, is there a species of wood in mind? Is it cedar or
Yeah, cedar's the preference.
Natural white cedar.
I think it's either cedar or white.
clear?
Oh, there's not, you're
This
not,
would be-
you're not,
this-
okay.
This is the cedar.
Yeah, it's the two options. So I think
Paint.
for us, design-wise, the preference was the second option, like the white one.
Okay.
But there's natural also, just for reference.
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
like
I
a
lean
whitewash, or, sorry, no, forgive me if I missed, is that a color? Now, is there gonna be wood grain coming, is it semi-transparent, semi-solid, what, is it a stain or a paint?
For the white or, sorry?
Painted white,
Yeah.
painted, okay, just plain,
Yeah.
like, straight on white.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if maybe like a stain though, like if there is, since it is this wood element, it getting a little hint of the wood perhaps would kind of help soften it up and get a little bit of that warmth and that texture
Mm-hmm.
as part of this. Because in some respects, the natural, and I kind of tend toward the natural materials, especially in juxtaposition of the structure, but I can totally see the white as having a more architectural sort of aesthetic. I'm just wondering if maybe a stain would be more appropriate or not.
Could be.
I'm curious what.
I think it sort of, in the context of the entire complex, the natural wood softens up. I understand why you're doing that from a, just in the vacuum of the tenant, but
Mhm.
looking at this holistically, that softening, I think what you're talking about is necessary. So maybe it is a stain that hints at white.
We can look into it for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
It also doesn't make, it doesn't seem as opaque when it's a natural color. Right now, the white, it
Mhm.
feels like there's a wall, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't feel porous enough for you to welcome you in.
Mrs. Morrison, didn't you have some ideas too?
No, I was just
brainstorming?
talking about the fact that, you know, I do think that those lights should be hardwired, and then, you know, how do you hide that conduit so that it's not seen even from the tenant above, that it's not an eyesore. So I mean, I personally would like to see that detail.
Okay.
That's part of the criteria also, you guys, is that any of that stuff is, you know, concealed, so we'll just work on a detail together to either kind of trench it through that or, because we'll want all of that hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is doable.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, guys? All right, I've got a recap for you guys about the hardwiring, right? The proportions of the overall.
Quick follow-up question on that one. Is the major concern just the 2x8 that is on the exterior, right? Which is creating like a more bulkier look, I think.
I'm gonna let Mr. Riley or Mr. Humphrey
That would
recap.
be my opinion, to play with a little bit, to see whether reducing it in size, or it sounds like overall, you know, we're okay with it existing, but again, we're playing with the proportion of that, and again, like Dave said, potentially moving it up to the level of the upper trellis, and whether, if you look at the size of those 1x4s and determine that they should actually be a little bit thicker, you know, how that may impact the need for that being a 2x8.
Okay. Sounds good.
I mean, it also, in some ways, blocks, you know, your storefront a little bit, so, since there's so much vegetation there already.
Yeah. We'll definitely look into the proportions, and we'll send in an option or come by next time.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
The marching orders there, okay.
Yeah.
Also, prefer the natural across the board,
Okay.
so consider stain. So when you represent, what we can do, by the way, you guys have done a great presentation. We appreciate that you guys giving us multiple options. You put together a beautiful piece here. I mean, we're just kind of finishing out the little details here, but it's really nice. So I want to make sure you guys understand that.
Thank you.
You can send us a PDF to work through, and if it's something that's, you know, pretty obvious on paper, then I think hopefully we can push it through. If it's not, then maybe even some small stuff, maybe even Julie can walk it through for you guys, so you don't have to come back. But let's start with a PDF to us in the next 2 weeks if possible.
Perfect. We'll do that.
What is it?
See the stain?
Yes, that's, can you put samples of the stain in that as well, some options?
For sure. Yep.
Okay. Different vantage points, so we understand the electricity and its masking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Riley, was there anything I missed on your end? Any comment?
No, I think Dave covered the
Okay.
comments that I.
Okay, and you guys are presenting signage later, if I'm correct? And that's not you all? Is it? Are you doing the signage, or is it someone else presenting from your side?
We'll have to confirm on that, but definitely at a later stage.
All right, got it. All right, I think that's it.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. It was really
Thank
nice.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
So PDFs go to, hopefully you understand what Julie can get you to the right people, Jeremy in planning and zoning, and he'll get it to our board to review quickly.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate
Bring in
it.
hard samples for you guys too, so
Yeah,
you don't have to, yeah.
great, yeah. All right. ARB now, next item agenda, ARB number 10, solid core at 92 Heights Road.
It's a nice night.
All right. So this is space 108 on our renderings, if you guys have the larger site plan. So, and a note for Julie, okay, so when we see this is great, right? We've got the details of each of the tenant, we've got the location called out, right, the different rendering size, and the back 2 pages always throw in one of like, what is the if there's any zone here, you guys, plantings, the materials for your public space plantings, if they're nearby, sidewalk material, and then a final page, which is the lighting scheme and how that fits in.
You got it.
If you guys always, that'd be so helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So much more detail, so much better.
Maybe I could just take a look at
Hi, how are you? So introduce yourself
I
and
am
your position.
Chrysantha Similaris. I'm with Sargenti Architects, and we represent Solid Core. They're a Pilates studio that's opening up in Darien Commons in space 108. And so
I'm sorry,
our
Chrysanthemum?
yes, like
Chrysanthemum?
chrysanthemum, but without the mum.
And what, yeah, thank you. And your company is what?
Sargenti Architects.
Sargenti, okay.
Mhm. So we're going into building 10, I believe, right? R1, sorry. I don't know why I thought that. But, and we're proposing our own storefront. So this is our location, and we've kind of dropped in our storefront in the overall building elevation, so you can see kind of the variation of all the different storefronts there. And then as you kind of work your way through the plans, you just is a zoom in, so you see us more in context of our neighbors as we work through.
Thank you for bringing these materials, it's very helpful.
Oh.
Appreciate it.
And then I actually have the actual materials and a couple alternates as well. So we're working within one of the proposed, or the material palettes from the criteria, the storefront criteria. So we went with palette 1 to kind of differentiate ourselves from our neighbors who have gone for some of the lighter palettes or as part of the base building.
Is the illustration of your neighbor to the right the actual storefront color? And
I believe so. I mean, based on the last renderings we received.
Yeah,
And
that's
what about-
part of the overall, and to the
Left-
right,
is-
left and right as well.
So it's white on the left
Yeah.
and beige, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cream, I think, on the left
Yeah.
and a little darker on the right.
Okay.
So it's within within the kind of the palette selections that we
Oyster
have.
and champagne.
Exactly.
I have the little criteria sheet
Yeah.
here, so, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that rendering right there, that elevation is close to
That's
what.
Yeah, it's as close as we could get the printer to print.
I understand. I get it. Close enough.
So, again, Solid Core is their Pilates studio. Solid Core refers to like the goals of Pilates. And one thing that I just learned, which I didn't know, the reason that they pushed the two letters together, the two words together in their logo is because they started out in Washington, D.C. And the original logo kind of accented that D.C. in the middle. So that's kind of a little trivia fact.
But just to be clear, this presentation isn't about the signage?
It's not about the sign. The sign vendor will come later with their actual presentation. This is kind of their typical logo. The details will follow.
Chrysanthemum, you don't have the actual palette selection of your adjacent neighbors, do you?
I do not. All I have is a little printout from
We had dropped them off upstairs a while ago.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they're in
You
the
actually-
building still. Oh yeah, we dropped off.
No,
same-
Yeah, that
No,
was,
what, no, I know what you have palettes, but the actual, the selection is, these guys did, so I know the actual materials and colors here.
It's in that package.
Yeah, our neighbor to the left and also to the right, they both get base building storefronts,
Yeah.
correct? So, they're part of the Federal Realty build out and presentation, and Solid Core has chosen to go ahead and move forward with presenting their own storefront within one of the palette
Got it.
ranges.
so
Yeah.
so just for clarity, then, the changes in the storefront, could you explain those? Is it like the size of the windows? Is it the base? What are we talking about? What is the change here as opposed to what the adjacent and the approved storefront aesthetic is?
So-
I mean, the material's great, but what are we talking about?
So this space actually didn't have a storefront planned into it. So this was kind of based, the design is based on what Solid Core would typically do in their locations. So we've integrated a louver for HVAC, for fresh air on one side, exhaust air, return air on the other. We've tried to maintain kind of the datum of the glass across, so that carries through from both the left-hand side neighbor and the right-hand neighbor. And the way that the Solid Core plan typically lays out within their studio spaces, we always try to get an offset, a door offset to one side or the other. So that's why the door is not centered in this location, and it just has to do with the programming within their space and how a customer would flow from the entry and through reception and then locker rooms, etc., and then into the studio for the exercise class, and then filling in with the windows beyond that.
And just as so we have elevations, and I'm pretty sure that you guys have them, of Malto dropped in, base building, and then Solid Core also dropped in to this as well too, which I can resend and
I appreciate that. I'm frustrated. I don't know where the ball drops in here. I do not see that. I think this is a thoughtful combination. I hear what you're saying. I just wish I was seeing it.
I got it, we got
And
it.
it sounds like you guys did. I don't know where in somewhere got lost in translation.
And it actually kind of balances itself out well.
It sounds like it. I wish I could see that.
Well, Malto is kind of dark, then there's lighter in-betweens, then we've got Solid Core, lighter in-betweens, and then the 102 space is also a darker space. So it kind of flanks and balances itself out well with dark to light throughout the project.
Which one was the restaurant that was all dark?
That was Pizzeria Malto.
That's Malto.
That was here last month,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
it was last month. Yeah.
The funny thing is, on the windowsill right there is our building in color.
Oh, so I know I've brought these plans before, so I was like, I know
And
that
I
they
don't know if
exist.
they,
How long has that been sitting there?
I don't know if that's Malto or any of the other custom storefronts dropped in, but I did notice that as I walked in.
Yeah, and yours is missing.
Right, and then
that's
it's plugged in
that's
there.
this one,
This is why, because we knew they
Yeah.
were bringing their own.
Yeah.
Is the cladding, is it a flat black? I can't really tell.
And I can,
Yeah.
It's heavy.
that's why I
Oh, I have it too. I brought the thing.
This is a little heavy on that end.
Well,
So-
actually,
What's this?
no. So in this rendering, your neighbor to the right is
different.
brick, looks like it's brick.
So this is the cladding.
So, or
That
it's,
one's brick.
well, it's a
These are
dark,
alternate,
it's
but
a
this
dark,
is the one
like
you're
rusty
proposing?
color.
So it could
Preferred.
potentially
It's really,
be,
it's,
it could be
you know, it's a
printing
different material.
issues of where it's
The,
printing out
Or
of.
maybe
and
that's
the
old.
accuracy.
Maybe it's old.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it's
Yeah,
been sitting there.
Yeah, it could be there, it could have been sitting there for a few
Yeah.
months.
What's the date on that?
This is the one that we got last time.
What's the date on it? I'm not.
No, this is a February.
2/15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last month.
yeah.
So I see brick. The adjacent to the east.
It's
is
it's the bronze finish.
It's a bronze. We've got.
So that's different
So we
than
have
what we.
there's
So
a,
that's
there's
different
a
than what.
champagne and then a darker finish, which I think is called anodized bronze and champagne. And it could be a weird printer plotting issue. I don't know.
So which one's right?
Yeah, which one is right?
It is this has to be correct from February. We were just in
I
March
think
now.
the rendering that we had is from
You can
January.
see the blank spot.
Yeah, so it's colonial white to the left, and then it should be
And then
colors.
Oyster.
materials over there.
Does it say what color?
Oh, yes, it's bronze. It's the bronze to the right. So it's darker. This is reading
Different, like you see how.
like the champagne, and it should be a bronze.
What palette?
3.
Yeah, okay, so it's this one.
And then to the other side.
It's this one.
I like the
Yeah.
flat.
I like the
Slightly different.
So yours is not reading
Because I could see
as,
this shiny thing back there, and I was like, oh,
This thing?
well, no, I saw, like, oh, I could see this
Oh,
thing.
that
And
is
then I was like,
very
whoa.
heavy.
so that's done on a big.
So
This one.
this is the palette
This is done.
that we
This is
chose.
done
This
just
is
the way
the
it's
one
that's
to
the
the,
water. It's totally
the,
could be different issues.
to the
Because
left,
that's what
and
they've
then
got, this is what
this,
they've been provided.
I guess, is the one now to the right.
So what you rendered is a little too creamy, it's actually
Correct,
bronzer.
it should be,
Okay, so
it should show.
so that overall,
Wherever it went. This,
Here it
this
is.
is dark.
yeah.
So to the right is palette 3, which is a bronze
Yeah.
finish. And you guys, that is done on a laser printer. This is done on a big plotter, so there could be printing
Not that
color
much.
issues,
Yeah,
but it's pretty off.
Planning.
Yeah, it's up.
That.
But
I think so, yeah.
you guys do have the most accurate info, we'll just have to darken that
Yeah.
up.
They're right, I mean, they're.
So to the right is palette 3.
Palette 3 is to the right.
As you're looking at it.
Not palette 4?
Yeah, they're
It's reading as palette 4, but it's not. It's palette 3.
not black, no, no. So
And to the left is palette 2?
Correct.
Is that the waste, or colonial?
Colonial white.
Yeah.
Double windows in this door. Or maybe you're thinking of the metal panel versus the. Okay. I think so.
So it's very Malto and solid core, all the same black? It's all this focus black, Lucabond focus
So
black?
Malto and Solid Core are the same palette black. Tartary is in R3, and I think they are the same black. Yeah,
It's the way, yeah, the
Yep.
way, the way the renderings read.
Yeah, they are not in the same building though, they're across the parking lot. It's just-
Make sure you knew it.
I know, but I don't think it looks right on this.
So you guys, I can update that by dropping in Solid Cores. I mean, although I have it, because it's out there, it already exists, so I'll send that over.
That's great.
It was like the
It's
And
just
the
great to all
intent is
see
to keep
together.
those running as I plug in tenants.
Right.
Yeah.
to center it on.
I like it. I appreciate the offset door at Solid Core, I will tell you. Aesthetically and as a corporate brand motto, pretty much, I guess. It's very interesting.
Is elevation A there? Done, and is that all black too? I don't remember.
102.
So elevation A,
102, yeah.
the intent is to have that as one large tenant. Their leasing is kind of holding that right now. It is not leased right now, but the intent is to have that as a dark storefront. That same black color palette.
There's one white section in there.
There is
Yeah,
a
with
little
the,
white
there's a
section.
double doors on it.
Yeah.
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 So I have a question about the materials, the cladding materials.
Mm-hmm.
You're proposing the matte finish on the Olukabon, yes?
Yes, the Lucabond right now is the client's preferred.
Yeah. And what are the two glossy,
So
those
they're,
are alternates?
they're alternates.
Yeah, so I mean, I like the matte finish personally, I think it's.
I agree with
I do
that.
too.
I agree with that.
And so, you know, just looking from the sample standpoint versus the rendered view, it looks like the frame around the louvers and the storefront frame look more black than the Olukabond, but in reality, it's not really, is it?
Right, it's just that they
It was just the way
there's
it
a little bit
rendered.
of a difference in the plane that they sit in.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a little exaggerated
Yeah, okay.
in terms of the
Got it.
shadow.
Yeah, got it, okay.
It's not meant to read like a
Right.
circle, like I'm circling this
Yep.
and accent.
Yep.
Mr. Ryan, Mr. Upper, do you guys have a preference of the matte versus the gloss?
I prefer them.
The matte as well, okay. Matte across the board.
Check that off.
It's more contemporary.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else, guys? All right, that's a favorable report. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to see from you as a final PDF.
Do you need us to update?
We'll make sure you get the elevation.
I can update that, yeah, yeah.
All right, Mrs. Brock's sending us a new PDF, yep, with all the elevations on, set against each other. Oh, I have one other question. Any, are you guys gonna do any clings on your windows? It's a pretty sleek look.
I mean, they don't typically.
Okay.
Again, that's part of what the signage vendor would bring in.
Okay.
But it's not, the view into the reception area and kind of the activity in kind of the locker zone as people are waiting for their classes is not something that we typically try to block.
Yeah.
Because it's activity within the space and we're trying to generate that buzz
Okay.
for the space, so.
Every solid core I have ever, they keep their windows super clean, even seasonally, any of that, because that's kind of their
Awesome.
their
Okay.
brand. Yeah,
I mean,
that's what-
yeah, I mean, the look typically of their studios and their exteriors is very kind of crisp, contemporary, and, you know, modern, and then we try to be inviting, so it's not something that we would want to block.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, yeah.
All right, ARB number 11, 2022, we have Greens on the Go at 33.
Can she plug this in again?
Do you want me to
Oh,
plug
yeah,
this in?
I'm
And
sorry,
then
hold
we
on a
can
second.
sort
Oh,
of
yeah,
discuss
thank you guys, let's wrap up
and- Yeah,
the lighting schematic for the overall buildings.
so these are easy to plug in and out, so if you need me to do anything differently, just let me know. But, so there's the clear.
Yeah, see, it looks different when it's clear, it's totally crisper, and the one that we like
Is the
looks-
middle.
Right, and it looks brighter.
In the clear.
I like it.
Mhm.
I don't mind it, I'm
I
just
like
saying it
that.
does look different when it's.
Has a little bit more sparkle,
Yeah.
which maybe, again, if that's the consistent string, it would be,
Is the other one?
again, could get into that mix and match thing too.
I like
I like the middle, no matter what.
That's the 3,000, that's the 27, and that's, this one's out anyway, so,
Still like the 27.
27.
Yeah.
And do we like a mix and match if we can do it between the frosted and the clear?
And that would be between tenants, not the same tenant. You wouldn't mix and match within the same tenant, or would you?
Mix and match within even the same tenant.
Okay.
I don't know if that's even an option with but I think we probably prefer clear overall, or
I like them both. I like frosted and clear. I don't know if I'd mix and match in one tenant, but I don't think it would.
keep it
I agree.
consistent possibly with
I
them.
like both, and I
I do
think it's
too.
fine to have the diversity. I've never seen them mix and match on the same
In this-
string.
yeah.
I don't like
Okay.
that either.
Okay,
But not to say it looks bad, but I would definitely be comfortable with it mix and match throughout the project in
Yeah.
different
Okay.
areas.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
If,
keep
I
it-
feel like even tenant had a preference.
So Sweet Greens is frosted, I'm making this up, we
Sure.
can kind of talk about it and figure that out. And then general is clear or something
Sure,
like that.
right, right.
Okay,
Either.
okay, the 27 it is,
Great,
we got it,
got it.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks you guys.
Okay, psych, now you guys are back again, here we go.
Sorry about that.
Greens on the Go, at 33 Tokenique Road. This is the former Meatball and Company space. And the former Baja Joe's. My soul left when Baja Joe's left.
That was a quick,
It was so great. Yeah, it was quick.
but Ernie's is still there. Ernie's is still there.
Thank God, she heard about the way. All right, introduce yourselves and what your,
I'm Alyssa Cato, and I'm the owner of Greens on the Go.
Alyssa.
Alyssa,
Oh, Alyssa
Yep,
Cato, okay,
yep.
gotcha, okay?
and this,
You're the owner?
I am, yes.
Okay,
And I'm Kelly Blank.
She's the manager.
Okay.
Man.
great.
Woman.
I've got her stuff here.
I have, when the packets that were turned in, we did not have the measurements of the sign for the back, and I have those drawings, if we can give them to you guys.
I appreciate it, thank you.
And there's a menu on there too. So there was some confusion with the packets, and I apologize for that. There was a last minute change, because the landlord did not want the acrylic letters, she preferred that we had a sign on the Tokenique side that was the same as the other 4 buildings.
Like a
So-
signboard.
Like this.
Well, so it's that,
Yes,
yeah,
the green.
The
Yeah,
green.
okay.
And so we agreed to that change. She had also asked that we have a similar sign on the back, like the meatball, but we had a lot of discussion about that back and forth, but it was very last minute, so I apologize for that. So we agreed on the sign above the black awning. She agreed to that, and
Which is,
which is
Which is that, yeah.
right.
Correct.
And then there's a larger picture of that somewhere in the packet, I think, possibly. Is there?
So there would not be any signage on the awning then? The awning would-
Correct.
is-
Yeah, she
so
did not
essentially
want that.
ignore this page.
Yes.
Yes.
And if any
Exactly.
of you are missing a page, I have extra pages because we had to collate pretty quickly at the end there.
I just have the menu
Okay.
and this.
Oh, well, here's all these other pieces.
Well, also.
There was an original packet that had stuff.
Sorry,
But we have
I
backup
didn't have it, I just got to dig it
pieces.
out. Sorry, I'm deranged here.
So talk to us about the back and how those are applied onto the building.
So John he's going to make a sign to replace the meatball sign. And I don't know exactly how he's going to attach that to the building, but I don't have the answer to that.
I'm curious if it's a signboard and then how the signboard, you know, what the material is and what color it is.
Right, so it would be a white sign with the black lettering. And
A white signboard then applied to the
do you
siding.
have
It's
this?
applied to the siding. Correct.
So.
I believe it was wood, but I have to double check with him on that.
With regards to the photo, the rear shot photo, there's the sign, but then it looks like there's another board behind it that's painted the same.
Okay, so that was just, he
That
had to
was just-
size it down, correct?
Okay, so it would be the siding going through?
Yes, it's
Okay,
exactly the
okay.
same, he just had a little
Just- okay,
Photoshop
thanks
there,
for
it was a little last
clarifying.
minute
Wanted to be sure.
for the allowable. The awning, that is currently up is in very poor condition and is probably might not be up to code with the fire retardant material.
Mhm.
So I would really like to get the awning changed soon because it's just an eyesore. And I just don't want people coming in and seeing this kind of moldy.
What color is the current awning?
It's green and white, but the white is basically
It's brown
brown
looking.
green at this
So
point.
all black
Yeah.
awning, same structure underneath supporting it?
Yes.
Are you guys gonna power wash that structure at all?
Are we gonna everything's gonna be, we've been power washing
Everything's
everything
being power
for a long
washed.
time now. Yes,
So the awning will be just solid black.
it will be solid black. We thought that might be the best choice considering the building is yellow. It was hard to come up with any other colors that would really work. And that would also, we wanted something that would not clash so much with either side, like low style. So there was a question that I just had read an email from Jeremy about the color of the buildings. So they are attached and it's yellow and it's clapboard. And at the front, there was a question about whether or not it was gray, and it's not, it's all white. It's just the way that John put the three together makes it seem like it's
Darker.
Is Low Styles awning, what color is that?
they have,
It's
like
a
an-
silver.
and I think it's made out, it's metal or
Yeah, it's not a,
something else like that, plastic or metal.
I have a question on the Tokenique sign.
Yes.
Sign. And is there any reason why you stacked the words instead of doing it linearly?
So I agree that that is not, I would rather it be Greens on the Go as one. I thought that he did that because these were
That was
the
the
allowable size
size that
of
was
sign
allowed.
that could be. on
John,
this.
the sign guy, said that was.
Total square footage would, it doesn't make sense, because you could stretch it out
Yeah. this-
and make it thinner and still have the same square footage of something that's short and squat. And I think all the other tenants have it all in just in one line in that stretch on Tokenique, so I think.
It might be because we have more words. You know, Ernie's is,
Yeah, but there's another one there.
Let's see this one. It's too far.
I don't know.
and then on the other side is the Harry Barker.
Right.
Which is not any.
I just,
To me, my question, I guess, I understand to a certain extent why you went black, but the building itself is, I'm not saying it's historical, it's not, but it's a traditional structure. And the window frames are painted like a deep forest green that almost reads black. To me, your greens on the go, and black is really a stark color. I personally would lean towards painting it the same color, which I think is the windows are painted, which is like a deep forest green.
It says here, dark green background. Is
That's-
that correct, or?
The dark green background is the front, the Tokenique side sign. The awning,
Oh, sorry.
I would personally prefer it to all be that dark forest green
for the awning.
for the
I just-
awning as well as the signage, all the signage. I just feel like it's more historical, it can contextually with, even with the building, and just would look a little bit fresher, and especially since your greens on the go, it seems like it would be a nice look versus something so stark. But that's just my opinion.
No, I totally agree with that. I couldn't quite put my hand on it though, but I couldn't think of an alternate option, so I didn't want to suggest
It was
anything.
like a Benjamin Moore forest, I could get you the paint,
Black forest green.
black forest green, exactly.
the window panes, you're saying?
The awning color.
Okay,
Everything.
This-
I would
These
paint,
windows
I
in
would do
here
the
are
greens on the go
dark
and that
green.
black forest
On
green.
the backside sign.
And on the backside
I think
side
this
as
is-
well as,
I think this is the tenant.
okay, and then as well as the awning, but that, to me, that would read a lot, more appropriate to the building.
What do you guys think about that on the back?
well, the wrought iron is black. The, you know, all of that, I mean, it's the photograph, do you have this one?
That was in the
Yes, okay.
original packet.
I was just trying to keep it modern and clean.
I think the dark green is still gonna feel modern.
It's just a softer look
It's gonna be,
against,
it is gonna be softer
against that
against
yellow
the building.
I mean, that building is a little bit federal in nature, and it just, the black is pretty harsh.
On,
Work with the brick better too.
You know, when you're on the Louis, they have the black awning, I'm just putting that out there. And
That goes
also
with-
at
goes
the
with
Sono Bakery, they also have a black awning.
They're not yellow buildings though. Some of
Yeah.
the bakery is a brick building that goes with
Yeah.
it, and it's got like black windows in the front that like larger. It's a different structure, but it's a different building altogether. I know it's in the same line, but it's different. And Louis is too. Louis is a different style of building as well.
Right. I mean, my main concern is that it's gonna be another 2 months out now to get a new awning, and I'd like to open without that awning.
So you're worried about doing it because you have an order in for the black right now?
I do have an order in for the black, but we haven't gone any further with it. And we did that because we all agreed that we wanted to switch out this awning, like as soon as we
Yeah,
possibly
ASAP.
can. And when Greens on the Go was on the awning, it kind of lightened it up. I see what you're saying, that it's, with the Greens on the Go sign above, which is not my preference, the Greens on the Go on the awning kind of did lighten it up. And I figured with the black wrought iron and
Is the branding of Greens on the Go what we see, which is the black and white? And is that the typical color scheme?
that is, my car, yes, this is our logo. We have a restaurant in New Canaan, so this would be our second location. And that's our font, and that's our,
So that's your brand standard,
it is,
if you will.
Always
It
in
is.
black.
I really like the pin mounted letters. I don't know if he'd ever agree to that on the front of the building that you,
it's the landlord.
Back or the front?
the front.
The
Yeah.
front is almost.
It's the landlord.
Yeah, they had to go with this scheme.
I pulled that up too, like every building along there is that
Well, at
way.
least what Alex said, at least, expand it out and not
Yeah, you
have
could
it.
get it within the same amount of square footage. The letters may be a little bit smaller, but you can still make it.
I'm
more
looking at this,
wide.
they all are the exact same length.
Yeah, and they're all
But I think
long.
that's 54 inches. I
No,
think it
they're
just
not.
is reading different because of
Slightly.
the,
They're not the exact same length.
they're not?
I mean, Ernie's is different
Ernie's
than
shorter.
Black's
But none of them are
barber
like
shop.
thin, though, I guess, is what
I think they're the same height.
Oh,
Yeah.
same height.
The issue
Yeah.
would be, can you get your letters in on a board that ends up being a certain length based on that height?
on the other
You
ones.
could do like greens
But I don't
on
see
the
why
stacked and then go, right? Greens and go are large and stack on that if you're running out of room.
I just don't see why it's not doable.
Yeah, I don't think it's not double either. I would
So
if
I
it
would
was
have
your
to-
sign.
on the front.
I think that would
No, I
have
know,
to be signage on the
person.
front.
If you can
a
put it
bit.
in the back, I guess it keeps
Um,
consistent.
Yeah, I agree with the sign. I think that it would look much better if it was Greens on the Go. And I thought that John had said that it didn't,
It wasn't, right.
right, because of the required footage and measurements and all of that.
I guess based on the length of the storefront, maybe,
No.
it may be that based on the length of Greens on the Go, it would be too skinny or it would be too short top to bottom that wouldn't align with the height of the other. But, I mean, we could also probably make
Exception, yeah, I would prefer it to be one
That'd be
line,
great.
and if it requires an exception, I think it would look better for that whole strip if it was, so that'd be my recommendation.
So send us a revised front board sign, same height, different length.
Okay.
But can you send us two versions? One's it's greens on the go, but if that's getting super long, can you try something that's where you on the smaller, so maybe just shrink it in to bring it in a bit?
Yeah, I can have him work on that.
Yeah, that might be like another option, because if on the, like, that's gonna act maybe another 8 inches, you
Yeah.
could probably avoid or cut in half or something.
Right. Getting back to the awning,
So if it fits,
Bummed
I
out.
think that's,
Yeah, if you need this,
yeah, yes, I have more work, but.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
if you made that smaller, you could.
We're not talking, they're totally different sizes.
I know, I was just.
I think the back needs to be smaller. I think the back one is fine, and particularly where, since it's gonna be on the building.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have any exception to the back signage, it's just really a question of the awning color, since it seems like
So-
there's,
Why
no way
would,
we
why
can
would there
use
be
this in the front?
a delay on your order if you haven't placed it?
So
You're
I-
just switching out the color.
John has, so
Yeah,
I
Jane
I
does
gave
get
him
highlighted.
Yes,
a
I get
50% deposit on the entire thing. And he ordered the material, but didn't want to, obviously go forward with any permanent signage on it. It's 4 weeks out, probably because of all of the delays that everybody's dealing with and trying to just get anything these days.
So he has the black.
So he ordered the black, he got it in, because I met with him 6 weeks ago. And,
Well, I like the black, I think that statement was a genius idea, but if your palette, you're saying your palette is black and white on all your signs.
so we are black and white. Inside, the Greens on the Go, that when I first opened it in New Canaan, the sign inside is not black and white, but that's just because we haven't changed it inside the building, because there's 3 restaurants in the building. So ours back then was like moss with, different letter. It was a whole different thing. And we just, have done some changes over the years, and now this is our logo and our brand. And
So I'm okay with the black awning if that is it. I was interested in changing it to Hunter Green if the whole thing could be.
What was the reason why you can't put the signage on the awning?
the landlord. She wouldn't write the, the
Approval
approval
letter.
letter.
We can put it, would you prefer that, Dave? Are you saying that's your preference? I think our board's gonna recommend on the awning, right? I think that's 3 of you guys have brought this up now.
Put it on the awning.
I mean, look at that, it looks sharper.
I agree.
That we
I
like it on
totally
the
agree.
awning too.
Yeah.
I mean, you associate the first floor restaurant
Yeah.
more by having it on the awning than
Right,
you
I
do
agree.
on the building.
You really have to look up and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or from the parking lot,
Right.
far away.
Yeah.
So,
So
We're gonna put in a request, we're gonna say to your landlord, what's your landlord's name?
Carmela Violi.
Spell it, please.
I have to get the full, it's, so it's CARMELLA and then VIOLI.
Okay.
And it's Tokenique Properties, but she's the landlord. She's the person that I deal with.
Okay, we're gonna put a request in to, as originally presented, to put the greens gonna go on the awning, in white on the black awning.
Okay.
Go ahead and order the black awning, if that's your color scheme, right? I'm not gonna that's your
Thank
thing,
you
that's
so
what it
much.
is, all
It's
right.
been done before.
Black awning stays. On the front, we're also gonna put in a second request to them to put it all in one line, same height of 15 inches, but extend the length and maybe shorten on the, so it's not as lengthy.
Okay.
Send us new PDF running of both of those.
Okay.
If your landlord has a problem with it, then she's gonna have to call me and Jeremy, we'll talk about that, okay?
That would be great.
That would be great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support.
Yes.
You don't want to miss it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You make me hungry with the menu.
I
The
know.
menu's on there.
All right,
We're
now
gonna
if
get open
we-
soon.
Now, if the landlord agrees to both this, do we all get a free salad one day?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Be
I should
great.
code ARB 15, ARB March 15.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys, ARB number 12, Sakurai Atelier.
Sakurai?
Sakurai.
Sakurai.
Sakurai. Oh, I've done that for 15 years. Thank you. Let's get a record and correct myself. 1292 Boston Post Road. So please introduce yourselves.
Hi there, David Genovese on behalf of Penny Glassmeyer and Post Road 11, the owner of this building, and Elena is the owner of Sakari. Elena and we met 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago, and she occupied one of the stores on the Boston Post Road in the middle of the Corbin District. And as part of our effort to kind of relocate people and, make a home for everyone through the course of the development of our project, when A Little Something White decided to expand into the Brooks Brothers building, we came up with the idea of putting Sakari into a more prominent, better place, more visible place. Also, this building, on the second floor has incredible storefronts, and we wanted something that just looked really attractive and presented well. And also, in his role as planning and zoning director, I think Jeremy would agree, we also, with this building, needed to find a use that didn't generate a lot of parking demand. And so between the Charles Michael Gallery and Sakari, which is really a custom atelier, dressmaker, a clothing designer, it just seemed like a perfect fit. So, you've seen the, Elena has opened up temporarily in there or permanently in there with temporary signage. We gave to you a number of drawings from the sign designer, ABC Sign, that show the new storefront signage above the storefronts on the Post Road, as well, what we would propose to do at the entrance to the building, or to the store rather, which is a private entrance. So I think there was a question that we had gotten by email from Jeremy. There is a 1292 on the building that displays to the Boston Post Road. And there is a separate entrance for each of Charles Michael and Sokari. So I think it's a relatively straightforward application, but we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Passing along pictures David sent late in the day.
Oh, okay.
One would be, is special event specialist part of your actual company name?
Yeah.
That's not
Oh.
something you typically put
You know,
signage.
You know what, I didn't think of that. So
Looking at
one
this
thing
now,
that they
the
are,
one below that, there, custom framing and
Except that
antique.
I apologize.
They might have bridal couture.
I don't know who approved that stuff, I don't know who approved Michael,
See that?
I don't know when that came.
Well,
out.
I think it was before your time. It was before the Iron Fist. Just kidding. Is that my outside voice?
David Jennings, you still have stuff to improve, it's all over here.
Velvet hammer.
The Velvet Hammer.
Velvet hammer. It's
So
much
let me just,
better.
if I could explain to Elena,
Much
so
better.
one of the things that the zoning board, the architecture review board has become a lot more focused on is approving signage that actually is your name. So a little something white was the name of the business. Bridal couture describing the business isn't part of the legal name.
But actually, for Little Something White, that is actually their full name, because they just moved.
Oh, it is?
So they
Yeah,
changed, that is
yeah.
their full legal name, they just proved it for their new location where the Johnson and Murphy was.
Right.
The building below it though, that might be right now grandfathered in, if they came to us, we would never allow that to happen.
Right.
And by the way, I don't think it looks strong, it's hard to read it from the road because it's so,
Yeah, I think in his case,
A lot of words.
you know, we worked with Charles in relocating to here from the other buildings on the Post Road, and I think that in his case, you know, he probably was also trying to communicate that he's not just an art gallery, that he's also doing framing, custom framing. So here, technically, Elena, like they would support Sokari Atelier, but they would not support special
Okay.
event specialists.
Yeah, I came from
you have to identify
Charles.
yourself,
Yeah,
just as VC.
I'm Elena Nigelo. I'm the owner of Sokari Atelier, and you know, because when we were at the old location, our awning was reading Sokari. So Sokari was not clear for many people driving by or walking by what we were, and people were often asking, like telling us, we thought you were a Japanese restaurant. So, you know, Atelier plus the window display, you know, it's already helps us to clarify who we are, and I hope Atelier also explains that we are custom, you know, clothier, not just a store. You know, and the idea, of course, I took the idea from Charles Michael Gallery and from Little Something White, the second line, that it would be, you know, basically explaining what we are doing, what kind of business we are.
so a lot of people achieve that same idea, so like, you got a great, that second story, that view is beautiful, the open windows, you can see that it's a dress shop, and the custom part, what you can do, and a lot of people in Derry have done this, is they put a cling on the window. You could do an elegant cling of writing that says, you know, special events, you know.
On the window
special
itself,
events
like
on the window
glass.
itself, right?
Yeah.
Pick, you know, a beautiful gold, you know, even a script font, you know, that kind of says that somewhere, that instead of putting it on the door in your
Okay.
actual finite signage.
Or you could change the name of your business.
You could go as far
Legally.
as changing the name of your business.
I think just having Sokari Atelier, that would just be a lot easier to read.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
again, it gets into what the comment was about the Charles Michael, it gets a little crowded. I mean, notwithstanding that special event specialist isn't.
I mean,
part of the
it's
name.
not a big deal if we are not allowed to have like a subtitle, you know, obviously it's, it would be a help for
Yeah,
us.
but to Liz's point, you could do that
You
as a
could put it
flat
in the
lettering
glass.
on the windows below. I mean, you have three windows, 3 words that could, you know, that could graphically work together. top to
So across the front, but it might distract from what's here. I don't know, you'd have to think about
Yeah,
that.
something to look at.
I knew what Sokari was when you were down the road, but I think the special event specialist sounds like it could be a caterer, could be a party planner.
You see, our idea, we expanded our business. Before we were strictly dressmakers.
Right.
We were doing everything custom, and nowadays it's very hard to do anything labor related, especially because it takes so much time. So to do we hope to prosper in this new space. So we took items which we sell as a retail. So it's ready-made gowns, young girls' dresses, like teenage girls' party dresses. So moreover, we want to expand, offering services, helping people to have a hairstylist, to have, so we are still working on our business formula.
Okay.
Trying to, we're integrating online sale, but it came out by, historically, we started from making basically coats and dresses more casual. Our idea was, but somehow now we're doing only special occasion dresses. So it's a wedding, a lot of weddings. It's mother of the bride is our main custom, mother of the bride, mother of the groom, plus the bridal alterations, and we do a lot of bridal gowns now, which was not our initial idea. So it's really special occasion. It's also because it's costly, and people have a budget when they plan a big event.
Sure.
So plus, dresses for girls, they use them to go for bar mitzvah. It's a very big market, and we
Special
service,
occasion's a nice word to use on that too, if you consider that, I mean, that's up to you.
Also, we were thinking a special event, actually, we changed it to occasion.
Oh, you did?
Yes, a special occasion. It's also
Yeah, that makes
SOS,
sense.
abbreviated, because people often come to us like,
In a
SOS,
panic.
please help us. It's like a week before my wedding, and I have a big project yet to finish. So, I wanted also to play with words, kind of.
I agree with, though, that special event specialist sounds like a party planner. That
Caterer.
Just special occasions.
Yeah, special,
No.
much clearer.
So
Special
actually
occasions.
special occasions. We were speaking,
Special
I don't know,
occasions.
I sent
With Lisa?
Yes,
Specialist is,
Custom.
yeah, they haven't changed it in it here.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you could live without that on the bottom line of the signage, and then we could try to find a way to do something within the windows, then I think it's a better application.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think script would be really pretty, especially.
In the window.
Just
Yeah.
soften it.
I mean, it's okay,
Your location's beautiful. You're gonna see, you're gonna drive by, you're gonna know what you guys are doing. It's different. I know before how it might have had more importance of having that description of the location. This location doesn't even need it.
It's different.
It'll be stronger.
It has already attracted people just driving by.
Totally.
Oh, we saw gowns in the
Yeah.
window, so
That's right, for you.
it's great. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so favorable report, remove the description and consider something on the window.
Okay.
And but possibly, I don't know, do you have a gold script, do you have a recommendation for her or something?
I like gold.
So do you mean on a window, or can I use all the windows?
You can use all the windows, 25% coverage.
Okay, yes.
I'll
I
put
mean,
that in my letter so you know.
Because my idea was also to use the windows, and one window would say custom dress, another one would say tailoring, another one says teenage girl party dress. I mean, I have to
Yeah,
be more
That's a lot of
concise,
words, yeah.
precise and concise to fit it into this, because the windows
25%.
are small,
so take the windows, divide it in a quarter, 25% coverage, that's what you have.
Okay, yeah.
Less is more though, Darian, I mean, I think less is more. I think if you're in a high-end business, it could be, sure, I mean,
Yeah. You don't
I mean,
need
that's
to,
my
you don't need to
perspective.
say a lot.
Yeah.
People, the word of mouth, people will.
Yeah, definitely, it works already,
Yeah,
so it
right,
is.
yeah.
yeah.
And
I
did
got
we
the
answer?
Girls coming up. We'll be there with that. I'm sold.
Okay.
Did we answer the other questions, Jeremy, that came up by the email? Front door sign needs the post road number, so you can see that's there.
Pass those pictures around.
If the gallery's still there. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Congrats on the new location.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, ARB number 13, Poster Plaza at 430, 454 Boston Post Road. Hi. Just present your name and your company.
My name is Ivo Granata. I own Granata Sign Company in Stamford, and we're proposing the signage here. What we're doing is removing the existing sign and replacing it with one the same size, painting the post, and matching it all, the same gray. And just 4 lines of copies here.
Okay. I think
So
we've got
basic.
comments, yeah, but we've seen it unless there's any changes to the application we put in, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Excuse me?
We've seen the application, so I don't need to have you go through the whole thing, I don't need to
Okay,
waste your
okay.
time, I know you've been sitting for so long, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. You guys wanna make comments?
Was it Leslie? Somebody
I
has
have, I do have some comments from one of our board members I could read
Yeah,
out.
really
That
good.
one. First of all, the name, Post Road Plaza, should stand out apart from the tenants, so there's some clarity there. Right now, it's combined, it looks like it could be one of the tenants, it doesn't really stand out. In addition to that, another ARB member said, what if the entire sign was a dark color? Anything like brown, bronze, graphite, navy, hunter black, whatever, and all the tenant signage font was true branding, it was true to the branding, but white. And that white could be subtly internally lit. It would look a little more elegant. And everyone would recognize the business topography without having a cacophony of, I can never say that word. Cacophony of colors on a basic white background. Aesthetically, it would just take it up a notch. Also prefer the daylight Kelvin of 4,000 to 5,000, so less bright. What do you think
Okay,
about that?
now that you brought up the lighting, they want to change it to LEDs, so I had a little sketch here of what it's gonna look like with LED.
I think my, the thing that keeps on popping up for me is that the address at the bottom really
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be, just seems to be floating on the bottom of the sign. There's no integration there. Like, it seems like if it's on the bottom of the sign, that's fine, but extend the two sides out so that it it meets the edges, like it's just.
It could be
right
like
now
a
it's-
base to the whole box.
Right,
Yeah, that
The
was
whole-
bothering me
yeah, me
too.
too.
And I couldn't,
I
Are we
think,
then
I think that,
increasing the area of the signage?
yeah.
You
Just-
are increasing the signage by doing that, right?
Right, but you need to, right now it just looks like it just was stuck on as a last minute haphazard.
I think that if you combine the name of the Post Road Plaza with the address and the road and make that, one banner, I also like the recommendation of sort of creating a more unified look, and then the individual brands can pop, but they're all white, so that was a really good recommendation, and I support that. Because right now, there's just a lot going on.
I know the tenant, the client helped me design this, and they told me how to do this. I know what you mean.
My gut was that the reason that they put the address, correct me if I'm wrong, at the bottom was that you're using the original, the existing box. Is it the existing box or is it a new?
Yeah, the problem was there was so much wording in there, you couldn't
Right,
add
but
the
you're
address
using-
on the box, and I
you're
couldn't go any
using-
higher or taller. We're basing it on the same existing size.
box. So
Yeah.
you've got to fit it all in. So
Yeah.
there's no way to fit all that in.
No, but I can extend it, like you said, I can
So that's why
extend
I
it
said
to
if
the
you
sides
extend
and,
it. But then should it wrap?
yeah, I can wrap it around.
Wrap it
Yeah,
around, because right
yeah.
now it looks like it's a one-sided address,
But
like
then we're
it
making
needs
a
to
bigger
wrap around
sign.
the whole thing.
Why shouldn't it fit within the existing?
Well, Regency
area?
can go, that sign,
What-
Regency.
yeah, what is
Yeah, what is,
Regency
that,
sign?
yeah, that has like no,
The
That's
client
the
wants
client.
Regency on there, that's,
They want to
Oh,
bring
they want
it,
to
that's
go.
gone.
yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can
we
do
don't
Post
need
Road
that.
Plaza, or you can do Regency Center, if that's the name of the
Right.
center, but I don't see any reason why they should be both, and then it's a simple
And look different.
Regency
it's
Center
moved in.
goes, and Boston Post Road goes in Regency Center area.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go, you just made up that script.
Oh,
Does that make sense? So that they want to put their company name to be represented there, but it's not a company, it's not a tenant, so that needs to come off. And using that square footage, you could then integrate the address sign, the address.
and where the-
then
yeah.
At that point, you could move the address, like Ms. Lopatinsky was saying, up next to
Yeah.
The name of
the plaza name, so the two of those should go together. And, same
So
sort of
you want
format.
Post Road Plaza, the address, and then the tenants below, is that how
Yes.
you want it?
Yep, I mean, I think it would look
And then white and black, or white and gray, or something?
great, I'm okay with gray and white. What was the
The
recommendation?
colors they suggested could be brown, bronze, graphite, navy, hunter black.
I'm actually okay with the idea of the address being below it and being
Separate from the name of the,
separate from the name of the plaza, just because I feel like it grounds it, and it's still being gray. And then maybe the top Post Road Plaza. I don't know. I'm fine with that being almost like not lit, but metal. I mean, I don't know, maybe not because it won't shine in, you won't see it. But I like the idea that it grounds it.
But the two should relate then, in like font or color, that the name and the address should relate to each other, so you know they're part of the same entity, right? Whereas now, they're not, right? They're different.
Yeah, this just, it looks, they're all distracted.
So we gotta move the address underneath Post Road and remove Regency, is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah, since they're not a business tenant,
Excuse me?
since they're not a tenant, yeah,
Yeah.
the Regency Center.
No, no,
I
that's
think just
fine.
getting that address off the bottom is a
Right.
big win there.
So move the address to where it says Regency Center,
Mhm.
and then, but you'd have to,
It's not.
Does it relate to Post Road Plaza though?
then you'd have to like, yeah, redo that. The sign needs to be redone, as Miss Janice was saying, one of our board members out here, she was saying about the sign changing the background where it's all one same color, right? The sign background should be gray, black, I don't know if your
So
client has a
bronze,
preference.
gray, or black,
If
right?
they like silver, maybe it's like a metallic silver
Yeah,
background.
well, that's what we were thinking. The Rango Gray's got a little bit metallic in there. I'm sorry I didn't bring the Matthews chart tonight, but I could bring it in next if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well, and she was thinking that the letters of all the actual tenants, Trader Joe's, Orvis, and Chase would be knockout white. But if that's the case, you wouldn't want Post Road Plaza and the address to be the same, right? You'd want those a different
And
color.
I think for branding purposes, they're not gonna want that, right? Like it's a brand, this is a
Yeah.
brand.
Well, but their font's a brand, part of the brand too.
Right, but, yeah, agreed.
You get recognized.
Same.
And I've seen them in, white or black.
Yeah, Orvis and Trader Joe's go for having the color.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
if
Yeah.
it's the landlord's standard,
Hmm.
they're gonna have, they'd have to,
Right.
they're the tenant. I mean, depending on the lease.
Trader Joe's red or Chase's blue.
I think it would be
Orvis is
better if it
white.
was more monotone.
Right, for
Trader
sure.
Joe.
What about, as a suggestion, or what about if I do Post Road Plaza and the address, like I did Boston Post Road below, where it's popping white and the colors and the ones on the bottom can be in color? No?
No.
Yeah, still a lot going on.
Too much.
So what would you guys, let's give him suggestions.
So I think sticking to what we were saying before, Post Road Plaza, address, gray, white, cutouts, or maybe even black cutout. And then the tenants, gray background, white cutout letters.
I think the
In
logo-
their font, in their branded
I
font.
think the font speaks for itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Would you
white
add the
background.
blue logo for Chase?
White or black letters? White background, black letters. Could be that too,
I mean, if we do Blue Chase, then everybody else is gonna want their,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I don't know,
No, I think
Trader
it's,
Joe's on a red background
yeah.
with white, but, stick with red and white.
can you come back with a couple of options for us to take a look at?
Okay, I mean, I gotta run this through the client as well, they gotta approve this, yeah, you want me to send an email PDF, is that what it is?
You need to come back to see us.
Oh,
Come back to see us with printouts. You could send PDFs ahead of time for us to
Yeah.
kind of, to
Yeah.
possibly comment on. I think you should come back, I think you should bring your client. It sounds like they have an opinion.
yeah,
Maybe
they do,
wanna
they
talk
have
to
an
us
opinion,
directly.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I think it's clear that if the client comes back, you're gonna say Regency Center is a non-starter.
Yeah,
Right.
oh, definitely, that's gone,
Definitely.
yeah.
Well,
You definitely have to rework the design, right?
Yeah.
So remove Regency Center.
I'm gonna have to
integrate
run
the
it through
address.
them and then I'll,
Right, but we're gonna wanna see you back. And
Okay.
to Ms. Lipinski's point, some different options where it's a solid background where, the plaza name and address are one knockout color and the
Yeah.
tenant signs are another knockout color and play with what those are. One's a white, maybe one's a black. Maybe the
Okay.
sign's a white and one's a gray and one's a black, like maybe one of those.
I mean, all white is not required, I can do some knocked out, some in color, I mean,
No color.
No,
color.
all the tenants should be the same.
yeah,
And then the plaza name, the address should be a different color, black, white, gray, but those two should be consistent. Does that make sense?
Okay. You want to separate the name of the place with the address and the rest on the bottom, a little bit more somehow.
Correct.
Okay.
I think in general, we want to play down the idea that it's a huge pylon sign, that, you know, we're in a somewhat residential area. We're not, you know.
I mean, it's not huge, but it's, yeah, it's,
Probably just some consideration of
Tasteful.
aesthetic.
yeah,
Tasteful, simple.
okay. All right, and then the LED is 4,000K?
I don't know that, yeah.
That's like a bright white, isn't it?
No, 4,000K is pretty warm.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 3,000, 4,000, because
I think
3,000
it
is,
permeate the
when you use LED,
right?
the LEDs get a little bit more yellowy if you go over 3,000. Yeah, 4,000 is kind of not too bright, not too, no. Yeah.
I would not order anything there, though.
No, I didn't,
Because depending, as Ms. Morrison just said, depends what final design we go with.
yeah.
Right, whether a brighter or more subdued.
Yeah, I mean, worst scenario, I mean, I could bring the LEDs and show you my,
I think it just depends on the color of the background, what you decide.
yeah, if you want a dropped out letter, I can do that too, it doesn't matter to me, but it's, you know, you don't want a yellow letter on a gray field, because LED, when you start to get in 3,000, it gets yellow.
It's too
It gets
yellow.
like a fluorescent, you know, like a condensate bulb, you know, so.
We don't.
4,000, 5,000 is the best, you know, 65 is too much.
Okay.
Is that Professor Calvin?
Kelvin.
Yeah. Kelvin.
So, are you clear on what to do? Did we make that clear? I know there's a lot of stuff going around.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I can do a couple of renderings, and I could explain to her that this is too much, too many colors. Regency goes up.
What you could do a rendering first.
Yeah.
And send it back to us to make, is this what you guys are talking
Okay.
about? How it lays out? And
Can I
what's-
email it to somebody? And yeah, and before I do the final, I can email it to you?
Make sure you're on the same track before
Yeah.
you go to your client, and then go saying, this is what they've requested,
Yeah,
this is what they're
okay.
gonna approve.
All right.
Now we can talk color combinations.
Okay.
And we're not gonna do, or give a fair.
So you want a reverse image now? You want a dark field with a white lettering?
That would be nice.
Yeah, okay,
That'd be nice.
all right. Okay, yeah, I mean, that will look better, actually.
Yeah, that'd be nice, a little more
Okay.
elegant.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Good night.
Appreciate it, okay. All right, guys. Approval of minutes. Everyone for February, we didn't see those yet, right?
Sean emailed them to me about a half hour ago.
We will see, we'll approve those in the April meeting.
Yep.
There's no other business to discuss, I believe, so we're gonna adjourn, 8:49 PM. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good meeting.